Today, we're going to look at an inexpensive way to take a normal Fuji lens and make it a macro lens for close-up photography. Let's go! What's up everybody? Phil with Photo Gear Fun here today. Got an interesting video. I'm going to talk a little bit about extension tubes, and we'll talk specifically about these extension tubes for my Fuji camera, the Meike MKF. You can see the F stands for Fuji AF, which means they have autofocus. And what if I told you you could take your pictures from this to this with something that looks like this? Hopefully you'd say, tell me more, Phil, is exactly what I'm going to do today. So what is an extension tube? It's basically a spacer. You can see there are no optics here. It's just a clear line through, but you can see that there are contacts. And those contacts will pass the information about your EXIF data and also autofocus, so that these are autofocus tubes. And basically, you connect it to your camera, so you can see here. And what that does is it moves your lens away from your camera, and now you connect your lens to this. And you can see now that the lens is further away from the camera, which allows you to be able to focus closer. And one of the disadvantages is that you kind of lose the ability to focus on things far away, which means there's no infinity focus, but you can focus on things that are closer. And another interesting thing is, rather than using a traditional focus, you can use your zoom to control the magnification of your photo, and we'll see that. So these are $25, and for the Fuji system, they have a lens, macro lens, that's around $400, and then a more expensive one, which I think is around $1,000. So for $25, if you want to give macro photography a shot, and maybe even this is a good permanent solution, I know that I'll be using this permanently, but you can use any lens. This is a 55 to 200. You can use an 18 to 55. You want to use something that's not really wide angle, because you get too close actually. So starting at probably about 23 millimeters and going up, I think those lenses will work fine with this. So what I did is I took some pictures to show you the magnification. I took a video to show you how you use this again, kind of using your zoom range as a focus rather than using the focus itself. And you can use focus if you want to, but I'll show you kind of the way this works differently when you have these tubes attached. So let's look at those pictures, let's look at the video, and then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more about these extension tubes. I wanted to show you some pictures. This is a 55 to 200 millimeter lens at 55 millimeter with the 10-inch tube. I'm able to get about 15 inches away. And now at 55 millimeter with the 16 millimeter tube, I'm 12 inches away, and you can see the magnification is getting larger. It appears to be bigger. And now with both tubes, I'm 10 inches away, and the minimum focus distance on this lens is 4 feet. So you're able to get to 15 inches from 4 feet. Now here is one with the 18 to 55 with both tubes. I'm touching the hat. We'll see more of that in a minute. This is at 100 millimeters, same lens with a 10 millimeter tube. I'm about 2 feet away from the hat. This is with the 16 millimeter tube. I'm about 20 inches away from the hat. Now at 200 millimeters, I can see with a 10 millimeter tube, we're about 35 inches away from the hat. And with the 16 millimeter tube, we're 32 inches away from the hat. And now with both tubes, we're about 30 inches away from the hat. And you can see again, the magnification changes with each of these. And now here are the 18 to 55 millimeter lens, 24 millimeters right on the hat using the 10 millimeter tube. And then at 35 millimeters using the 16 millimeter tube, again, I'm touching the hat, and you can see the magnification here. And then 55 millimeters using both tubes, again, touching the hat, and it's even closer. Now we wanted to show you just a couple of shots I took of a bee. You can see the detail here, especially look at the eyes. You can see the reflection of the flower in the eyes. This is with the 18 to 55 millimeter lens. And another one again, this one's at high ISO, but you can kind of see the detail. It allows you to get really, really close. So that's what these tubes can do as far as pictures go. Okay, I wanted to show you how this kind of works a little bit differently. We're at 55 millimeters now on the 55 to 200, and you can see everything is in focus. I'm going to move the camera away And pay attention to the field of view, the magnification. You can see that it's out of focus now, and I'm not changing the focus. I'm just moving my lens, and I'm zooming in. And I'm zooming into about 100 millimeters or so. And now I'm going to move it back. And again, I'm not changing the focus. Set to manual focus, the minimum focus distance. And now we're at 160 millimeters or so. You can move it out to 200 millimeters, and you can see the difference. And this is 200 millimeters, and then I'm going to zoom in, and we're going to set the camera to 55 millimeters. And now we're in focus at 55 millimeters. So you can see the focal distance changes, the magnification, and also the focus, which is pretty interesting. It's a little different than how you would normally use the lens. Those were the pictures, those were the videos. You saw the difference in magnification, and this lens has a 4-foot minimum focus distance, which means the closest you can get to your subject would be normally 4 feet. But you can see you can get as close as 15 inches or even closer using the 18 to 55 millimeter lens, which means you can get right onto your subject, which isn't practical if you're shooting bugs or anything like that. However, it does give you the ability to get close to your subject and produce some really nice macro shots, and you saw those shots of the bees there. What do I think about this solution? I think it's a great solution. Again, for $25, that price may vary, but it shouldn't normally be any more than $30. They seem to be fairly well constructed. They're made of plastics and metals. Again, they'll give you autofocus. They'll transmit the EXIF data to get all the information to your camera, and they seem to work pretty well for me. I haven't found any issues with them so far. If I do find any issues, I'll put it in the description below and let you know any issues that I found. Also, I have links down below to all my gear. These are affiliate links. If you click on the link, I do get a little bit of your sale at no extra cost to you. That goes to help the channel. So I do appreciate if this helped you make a buying decision. I appreciate if you use my links to go ahead and buy these or to buy any of the gear that we use. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Also, consider subscribing if you haven't already. Get out there and have your photo gear fun, and I will talk at you again in the next video.